With me, Griha. Now, in the recent episode of podcast with Smita Prakash, the retired 1971 war veteran, Lieutenant General Brar has said, and I'm quoting from him, is that no one wants an operation, but what can you do? Indira Gandhi allowed me to become Frankenstein. You could see every year that was happening, but what he reached, when he in fact reached the pinnacle, now finish him off, now destroy him, it is too late. Now, the Lieutenant General Brar was in fact claiming that the then political leadership had allowed the Bhindranwale cult to flourish, and he was talking in context of Operation Blue Star, and this was a major interview that's much talked about at the moment, where these revelations on Operation Blue Star has been made, and he's talking in context with the commander, late Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, how she went on to quote-unquote allow militant leader Jarnail Bhindranwale to grow into a sort of Frankenstein. That was what General Brar was talking about. Let's actually first listen into that conversation, then I'll come back with a reporter on this.
No one wants an operation, but what do? Do you allow Indira Gandhi allowed him to become a Frankenstein? You could see Bhindranwale every year what was happening, but when he reached the pinnacle, now to finish him off, now destroy him. It's too late.
Taking this across to my colleague Akash to offer more perspective on this interview that's been done by Smita Prakash. Akash, the fact that Lieutenant General Brar is talking about this is, something that has been out in the public domain. But with this particular interview, this controversy is going to be blown out of proportion once again.
Exactly. And Griha, it is significant because talking about Lieutenant General retired Kuldeep Singh Brar, so he was the commander then of the particular operation. And also, he's a 1971 war veteran. So a person who was a part of that operation is coming out and is saying that, the political leadership at that point in time, in fact, he is raising questions on then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. And in fact, he's categorically saying that political leadership first allowed him to rise, and then when he reached pinnacle, so, Operation Blue Star was carried out to get rid of him. And Griha, it is important to mention that we all know about the consequences of Operation Blue Star, how we lost several lives in that. Yes, Bhindranwale was neutralized in that particular operation, but after that we lost one Prime Minister. We know about the riots that some believe, were the consequences of that particular operation only. So it is very significant statement. In fact, a number of political leaders are now commenting on this particular statement. In fact, but it is significant because it is coming out from an officer then who was the commander of that particular operation. All
right, Akash, I request you to stay on with us. Shehzad Poonawalla of the BJP is also joining us on the broadcast. Shehzad, how do you take these statements? We're talking about a 1971 war veteran. He comes out on record, talks about the then political leadership under Indira Gandhi, on how she created Jarnail Singh and then threw him off.
The disclosure which has been made by Lieutenant General Kuldeep Brar is perhaps something that we all knew of and that we all spoke of, and it was perhaps the worst kept secret. But today it has been confirmed by somebody who was front and center of those entire operations and that tumultuous time. And what it confirms is two or three things, Griha. Firstly, that the Congress party, for its partisan political interest, compromised national security, perhaps for its own parivarik and partisan interest, and it promoted and patronized terror, which it continues to do even today in various shapes and forms. Secondly, the Congress party was responsible primarily for the dark ages that Punjab saw due to terrorism, militancy, and then after that, the Congress party was also responsible for the 1984 Sikh genocide that took place. And for all these three events, the Congress party has never really acknowledged or even perhaps truly apologized, because we see time and again Jagdish Titler and his ilk being promoted within the Congress. We see the Congress party continuing to follow the same path it treaded in Punjab. So perhaps little has been learned from the dark chapters of history by the Congress party. That's what's been confirmed by the very decorated officer.
And one more thing, Shehzad, that I'd want you to actually throw light upon. When, Lieutenant General Brar goes on to say that the political leadership, and he, of course, is talking about Indira Gandhi, he said that, Jarnail Singh was allowed to go ahead and that cult, the Bhindranwale cult, was allowed to flourish under her leadership. And then, of course, rest is history, like he's gone on to mention. If you actually contextualize it today on what we are seeing when it comes to the growth in the Khalistan movement, not just in India but abroad, to the context of this interview that has been done at the moment, how do we look at that?
Greya, you actually make a very insightful point, because this is playing footsie and playing with fire. And that has been done in the 1980s by the Congress, by the leadership then. They allowed Bhindranwale to grow to actually capitalize and to obviate from another political force that they wanted to finish off at that point of time. And today you see the powers to be in Punjab playing the same kind of game. We have seen how radical elements have been given a free run, whether it's in Firozpur or in Patiala, how there has been attacks that have taken place, including rocket launcher, RPG attacks that have taken place at the police headquarters, intelligence headquarters. We've seen political party leaders hobnobbing with band outfits and their leaders just for the sake of political gain. And in fact, leaders like Gul Panag and Kumar Vishwas warned us about it. And today we see a redux of that entire era of darkness that took place decades ago. So perhaps the lessons should be learned by not just the Congress, but even the political powers that be in Punjab, that rule Punjab, instead of taking it down the path of anarchy and perhaps terrorism once again.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Shehzad, for joining us on the broadcast. Going back to my colleague Akash Sharma, who also continues to be with us. Akash, pretty much that context that we were talking about. In fact, I'm